Hello, everyone, and welcome to Block Party number 54. It is March 12th, 2021, and we're kicking off, as always, with the Food Healers segment. Great to see you all. Let's maybe do some rounds of updates, and then we've got some interesting things to discuss regarding Los Angeles. And we are UNO, aka Food Healers, Los Angeles, and the amazing programs that we're expanding there with Sarah's great leadership and Ingrid. So we'll get into that in a moment. And yep, I'll screen share the doc. But first, let's have some updates. Silas, you got updates for us? How you doing there? Take it away.
Yeah, I was saying that the city council has a vegan running for election. So this is awesome. So we can, and in that district, believe it or not, she's in that district that you're targeting in Los Angeles. So I think this is Mother Nature saying, okay, you want to do this? I'll help you. I'm really looking forward to speaking to her.
That is super cool. Super cool. Good morning, Simon. Welcome. Welcome to the Block Party. Welcome to Food Healers.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. So we're talking, Silas, if I may, unless there's other updates, there's no hurry. We got plenty of time. I thought I'd screen share the Google Doc per Sarah's request and just kind of talk through. So let's just give a brief update. Sarah reached out to the Parks Department there in Los Angeles to basically say, hey, this is us. This is what we're doing. We want to provide plant-based foods there in the parks. You know, how might we get rolling? And Sarah, feel free to just jump in. This is just jump in. You'll represent better than I will. And they said, hey, well, we have this after school program in these two parks that are very close to Beverly Hills, which is a strategic point for us because by doing our public launch with press conference and everything in Beverly Hills, we elevate it in the eyes of the public to, oh, whoa, this is gourmet. This is fancy. This isn't food for poor people. That's what we want to get away from and stay away from is, hey, this is food for poor people. Because we want this to be something that we can spread all over the world. Ultimately, first all over Los Angeles, and ultimately all around the world as, hey, this is plant-based food for everyone. And hey, Charles.
Welcome. Welcome.
Awesome. Great to see you.
Just jumping in pretty quickly, hey, everyone. Carry on. I'm not going to be long, but I just want to say hi.
Oh, yeah. No, great to see you. And feel free to come and go as you please. So the idea of We Are UNO Food Healers is food for everyone, plant-based food for everyone. And that's in a sense, that's kind of like our excuse. Thanks, sweetheart. That's our excuse for making it available to everyone. Not like, hey, there's poor people and this and that. No, it's plant-based foods and it's nutritious and give it a try. And we just do it as a public service. So the parks, we see the parks as a key vehicle for that. Sarah early on identified Beverly Gardens, this beautiful big park in Beverly Hills, as a great place to launch it. So our strategy, our approach is work with the Parks Department and get it in the parks, not necessarily starting in Beverly Hills, but in this case, starting in West LA, not too far from it. And expanding from there, building towards a really nice public launch in Beverly Gardens Park as we build a relationship with the Parks Department and establish credibility and get a good model going. So Sarah spoke with the parks folks, I believe it was a week ago, last Friday, and had a great conversation, great long conversation, got great information. And they have an after school program in a couple of parks for which they are open. And in fact, they were looking for some sort of a food solution, a food vendor or something like that. So Sarah told them all about us and our model, and they seemed quite open to it. So we're working on the details. And that's what this Google Doc is about. So let me share that. I put the link in the chat. I'll share it again for those who just joined. But we're basically working out the details. You know, what do we need in order to serve plant-based food stew, plant-based stew, the universal stew that Silas shared the recipe with us. And Silas has been pioneering there in Arizona. So to serve this stew, we need, you know, personal protective equipment, table and shield, plexiglass shield, you know, cleaning supplies, food serving equipment. And these are just our notes from yesterday's meeting, nothing too fancy. Basically using crock pots or Instapots that we would heat up and have the food hot. We deliver it, you know, warm to hot to the park and then plug it in the park to their electricity, keep it hot in the park. And, you know, because they're insulated. So this is the process I'm talking about. Heat up the stew in our own kitchens in Instapots in advance, bring the hot stew in the same Instapots to the park, which are insulated containers themselves, the Instapots, and then plug in the Instapots immediately upon arrival at the park, keeping the stew warm to hot. We found some compostable bowls, compostable spoons. I'll say right up front, we don't like the idea of single use, but we want to start in a way that's easy. We're not going to try to solve every last problem on the first go, right? And so, you know, the best form of single use is compostable. We can collect all the compostable stuff. The parks often have composting operations right there. So it could be that these compostable spoons and bowls never leave the parks to get composted right there and returned to the soil. Or if not, we collect them and gift them to one of the farmers who's supplying the produce for the plant-based stews. So that's what we're looking at as kind of an option. We talked about bread to go with the stew. Ingrid has served non-bread in the past, vegan non-bread. So we're open to that. You know, we'll look at those options. Here's the recipe for Unity stew that Silas provided to us, giving us kind of a basis. And anyway, I'll put the link again in the chat. Feel free to add to it. Anyone with the link can add to it or even edit. So back to video here, and there's the link to the Google Doc. Oh yeah, and Sarah is making the stew today on Lunch Break Live on Jane Unchained at 12:30 Pacific time. Sarah, go for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good morning, everyone. How are you all lovely vegans today? Great. I'm glad to hear that. I am doing Lunch Break Live today, and it just so happens that when I was at Annie's the other day having a meeting with her, she said she wanted to do Lunch Break Live with me, and I said, that's great. And we're going to do it at her house and cook the stew. And she got all the ingredients. We got everything. We went to Westchester YMCA on Wednesday. Every Wednesday we'll be going. It's 5 minutes from my house. We can get as much food as we want. We got over, I don't even remember how much it was, but I showed pictures all to Jamin. It was enough food for 100 people. We got fresh green beans, fresh yellow squash, fresh mangoes, fresh Brussels sprouts, all organic, all tagged with organic tags on them. I then separated all the bags out into different produce. I then called my friend Kim with Vegan Outreach and let her know I had enough food for 100 people and I wasn't going to eat any of it or cook it. So she came and got it and distributed it yesterday, which is great. So this is amazing. We can get all the food for free. And one of the things that one of the participants in Food Healers was asking yesterday, which I was frustrated with, which Jamin will tell you. I got frustrated because she kept saying that she didn't want to have the stew be a certain stew and it had to be the same stew the whole time. And I just kept saying, well, since you missed all the meetings because you were out for 3 weeks, which we understand, you needed time off. You need to realize that the stew recipe, which I got from Dr. Rao, is from PCRM, Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine. We are using that stew recipe. It's interchangeable with what produce and stuff you can use. If everybody, maybe Jamin wants to post the recipe, I can post it right now. I can actually post it again. But we need to really make sure that we do remember that the recipe is the template. And I'm going to actually post it right now. I'm just copying it right now. Because I want you guys to know that the reason why we have to use the recipe is because of the cost and the way everything works. It's not because we're trying to be rigid. We can't just be that lax. This has to be organized. So yes, we have the recipe, which I just posted. Feel free, please take that recipe. That's the recipe. That's the one Dr. Rao made. And that's when I said, oh, I should make that recipe. I could probably make that, even though I don't cook. I did it. It came out perfect. Now today is actually, I couldn't believe it, 1 month to the day that I made the stew for the first time. So on February 12th, Jamin and we all had that meeting in the morning, and I went and got all the ingredients, and I went and got them at Whole Foods, which of course costs over $45 to $50 to make the first thing of stew, when it's only supposed to cost $2.50. So that's what I'm saying. You got to follow the recipe, because I chose to go to Whole Foods because my friend gave me money to buy groceries, and I chose to not use it for myself and use it to make the stew. That was my own choice. So what I'm saying is, we just need to be clear on that as a group. We just need to say we accept the recipe. We get all the food for free, even though Annie bought the carrots at Costco and we have some of the stuff that we did buy. More than likely, what we talked about yesterday, I think I want Jamin to confirm with me that we are getting all of the ingredients for free, basically, between all of us. And right now, the only thing that we need to buy is purchase at the get-go, at the beginning, for the first 2 parks, are the compostable bowls and the spoons at the beginning. And then once it picks up, even the guy that I talked to with Parks and Recs agreed. He goes, well, yeah, this will just pick right up, and then we'll give you the other 17 locations. And there's also a homeless shelter, a houseless shelter on Venice Beach that Ingrid could serve, which she actually thinks that she's served it before, which is great. So all this just is coming together very organically and naturally. But like I said, that's why we do have this document. That's why we do have the recipe. And there's just a few things that definitely have to be consistent and clear across the board if we're going to make this go the way we want to. And I'm not even concerned about the publicity right now. My main goal right now is just to get the confirmation, whatever you want to call it, the approval. So it'd be Pinmar Rec Center and Palms Rec Center. Those are both about 15 to 20 minutes from Beverly Hills, but they're closer to the Venice area and Palms. So it's a really good area. It's an after-school program, would serve its participants and the staff the stew. So that's perfect. And I told them they could bring their own containers and bring some home to their family, whatever. So it's really open and stuff. But as far as transferring the stew, making the stew, it definitely has to be, obviously clean and as much, cleanliness as possible. And it being whole food, plant-based, I believe that that's our goal. Our goal is what we are going to attain by using these Instapots and making the stew in the Instapot. Therefore, it stays in the pot the whole time. You take the pot, you take it straight to the location, and you serve right out of that. And it's just so you don't have to transfer anything, and you're not, you know, jumping on the bus with it or anything. It's all really clean. And my last point to what I'm saying is, this person, when I called them, it was a perfect timing because they were actually going to call Yogurt Land and order a whole bunch of yogurt. So this whole food plant-based, he loved the idea. He loved that it's going to nourish and it's more than food, and he loved that. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I gave you a little bit of a overview of what I personally thought was our goal at the get-go, and what I personally loved about Dr. Rao's recipe that he got from PCRM, and how we can use that. Because when I spoke with the gentleman he's actually the senior manager. I think you can see on his salutation, Jamin on his email, what his position is. But he just had to send it to one person to get it approved. So it'll come back being approved and we'll go forward. So he's very happy and thankful that this is going to be going forward. I just wanted to make sure that I was clear that when I did speak to him at the get-go, and I said, the stew, you know, I can give you the recipe, and it's from, you know, Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine. It's whole food plant-based. So, you know, with the allergens and stuff, you know, of course, if we gave them yogurt, that would be terrible. So many people are allergic to dairy. So, you know, this is all a great blessing that's happening. And we just need to make sure that we keep it very succinct, and that we do make sure that we're not throwing in stuff. So I know that somebody brought up the bread last night. I got kind of upset about it because I kept saying, why are you deviating from what we're trying to do? We're trying to serve the stew. Why are you going off on bread? And I also didn't believe that bread is whole food plant-based. I know that there are some flours that are like spelt flour. However, I did want to also have that addressed today by Dr. Rao, by Kelly, by Ray, by anybody on here, because the two people I was speaking with last night didn't know the difference between whole food plant-based and vegan, which is totally fine. Pretty much nobody knows that. And we need to make sure that it's differentiated, because our program is whole food plant-based. Okay. Yes, it is vegan, but it's whole food plant-based, and there's a big difference. Okay. I just want to make sure that when you saw me get upset about that last night, Jamin, it was because I need you to know why whole food plant-based is different than vegan. And I need the other person that was in the conversation that didn't want to listen to understand. So you'll probably have to explain that to that person. But I have to be amongst peers that can have conversations, that want to listen and not put a wall up, because the person that we had a meeting with last night also doesn't want to wear a mask, doesn't want to do PPE, whatever. That's fine. She doesn't agree with the mask. She doesn't agree with the whole scamdemic and the pandemic and all the stuff. But when we go to the park, we have to take our personal things aside, okay? We have to follow the guidelines. I'm sure that they don't care if we have the screen and we have all the stuff, but yes, we're going to wear the gloves. We're going to wear the shield, the face shield, and the mask, and we're going to do the right thing. Whether we think it's right or not, or we agree with it or not, no, we don't have to get a vaccine or anything to serve food. Remember, they were going to order yogurt. So they're not that strict, but we do need to be really professional, because this is a professional venture. It's not a business, but it is something that we definitely need to be clear on what the mission is and what the outcome is. And we can't just go get bread for free and give it to them because we feel like it. Okay. We gotta take that out of the equation. I'm sorry. I know that you got upset, but all right. So I just wanted to let y'all know. That's why I was so putting my, foot down, my paw down like that, because I just wanted you to know we got to focus on the mission is the plant-based stew. And if you want to give them whole food plant-based bread, that's fine. But let Dr. Rao and let the experts know that Kelly might be a chef. I know that Annie's training to be a chef. That's why we're doing the show today. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Okay. I'm sorry for being long-winded, but Jamin, just let Dr. Rao explain the difference between whole food, plant-based, and vegan. So that way you'll be able to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. And yeah, I'd love to hear have Dr. Rao explain the difference, and also your thoughts on bread. and whole food plant-based bread, and is it a good idea to include with the stew? If so, what feedback do you have for us, etc. That'd be great to know. But I also wanted to clarify, no one is opposed to wearing masks or protective gear, gloves, etc. We're going to have very high standards here and no exceptions for serving food to the public. It will be super clean, and no one is opposed to that. I think there might be a misunderstanding, but no one is opposed to that at all on our team. Alrighty, with that, I pass the talking feather to Silas. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. I mean, this is amazing work that you're doing. And the stew is supposed to be self-contained, meaning it has the grains, it has the legumes, it has the vegetables, and so you really don't need to serve anything beyond that. So that's how it was designed. And I just also want to clarify that Kimaya and I came up with this recipe. I mean, it's actually Kimaya's recipe. I mean, she was saying, put this, put that. And, and finally she said, put some grains in it. And that's how we came up with it. And then I sent it to PCRM and had them look at it. And they said, yeah, actually, this is a universal meal. So they put that up as a universal meal. So, so that's how it happened. Okay. And yeah, you really don't need any bread. You don't need it, but if people want to eat bread, that's a different story. Go ahead, Ray, and then BJ.
If there's like an insistence on bread, and I agree, Silas, that it's like a self-contained stew, but if you did want to give bread as complimentary, I know a recipe. I was going to be working with someone who made sprouted bread. So it's basically a same bread. So it's like biblical bread. And so it's basically raw. The only problem is you need an initial investment to make it. But then after that, you buy your grains ridiculously cheap and you sprout them yourself. And it's super easy and cheap to make. It's just time consuming. So if that's something that you want to venture into, I can help with that because it's super easy to make. So if that was something that you wanted to add to the stew in the future, if you wanted to have bread, but you wanted it to be healthy and like, it's literally like unprocessed raw bread and it's delicious and ridiculously healthy. So I just wanted to offer that up if that's something that we're going to in the future.
I had a question about the grains, the whole grain pasta and barley. Are those gluten-free?
You can, yeah, universal meals, it'll be gluten-free.
So there's a gluten-free barley? I wasn't sure. Barley is gluten-free.
I don't know. Is barley
pasta? And are those whole foods? Whole grain pasta is fine for a whole food?
Yeah.
And maybe saying that it's the same stew every day is not the right marketing, because you change one thing. You change from black beans to lentils. It's a different stew. So it's,
Oh, it's so versatile. The herbs are so versatile. It's just changing the herbs, you just change the taste.
One's curry and the other one's based on some other spice.
Moroccan.
Yeah. It's not the same stew.
Yeah. Go ahead, BJ.
So I think it would be a good idea to add gluten-free where it says 1 cup of grains.
Okay.
Because that is an allergen that has really taken off. I don't know where it lists now. I mean, if that's approved by PCRM, but that's a good thing to check into. The other thing is if you added up the combinations, when anybody brings up, you mean it's the same recipe? No, there's 100 or more recipes in here, maybe 1,000, depending on which vegetables you combine with which ones. And so there shouldn't be any problem with that, the combinations alone. And then when you combine the spices and everything, I would practice the spicing of it, because I made it and it was very plain and I enjoyed it because I like plain, but I had expected something like, wow, like most of the Indian food that I eat. It's like, yay. And so I I didn't know the right amounts of things to put in. And even though it says here, I think I may have left off the asafoetida, or asafoetida.
Right.
But so it is good to have somebody check that out and see if it's the taste that you want when you serve it. It doesn't just automatic. I mean, it does, because all fruits and all veggies are so good together. But I just wanted to mention that does make a big difference in how it's
Right.
spiced.
Right.
And I'm really, thank you, Sarah, for this, and for all of you that are working on this. It's just so beautiful, and it's such a good step for us. I've been thinking about how to do it here and don't have the same way to do it, but I really support you in all this you're doing.
Go ahead, Nikhil.
All right. And welcome, Annie. And yes, go ahead, Nikhil.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me properly, first of all?
Yeah, you're loud and clear. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is my first attendance here, and I somehow managing to attend, though I'm on a way to somewhere. But it is so important to me, and it's been so great listening to this idea. And I had written to Jamin about this, but somehow I think it missed his emails. But yeah, so glad to be listening to the conversation. But if I might be diverting a bit, maybe I will join later, but I can come again later. But if you want to continue the discussion because you wanted it to be more a bit formal, so maybe I can jump in later because I have a lot of thoughts in my mind that I want to say. But if it's okay to talk now, then I'll go ahead. What do you say?
I say it's totally fine.
Okay,
I
cool.
just want to make a quick comment about the gluten versus non-gluten-free. Maybe we have both options. Maybe we have a gluten-free pot and a couple non-gluten-free pots just to give us more flexibility. I just wanted to throw that out there as a thought, so we're not totally restricted to gluten-free. But go ahead, Nikhil.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm working on almost exactly the same idea back in India. I came here, and then I hope you have heard about Akshay Patra. I don't know. They have these largest kitchens, which are of utmost highest standards. But they serve free meals to children. But I was thinking, when Jamin made the same point, that it shouldn't feel like we are feeding the poor, because the government also takes food from these hygienic kitchens and serves it at a very subsidized rate. And when I asked my dad, let's go eat there, he made a face and he was like, no, it's for the labor class or something like that. And then I went to Akshay Patra. I told them about my idea of selling at zero profit. Okay, because I think we need to first change the food sector in the economic system, and everything else falls in place. So that's why I connect so much to this idea that Jamin shared. And I wrote a very passionate email to him, which he missed, I guess. But anyway, so I cracked a deal with Akshay Patra. They said they'll give me 150 meals to try out my project. So I think something similar is also going on. And this has been on my mind since last 5 years. And finally, I hope to make some progress here, but I don't have a nice group like you guys, but maybe this will be my support group. But yeah, the idea is on similar lines, and I'm so glad to see that you are also trying to keep it as hygienic as possible. It starts with one dish, I would say, because even Akshay Patra started like that, and slowly varieties come in. But I think the start is really important. And maybe what else should I add? I was thinking, because here, maybe you can look into the Akshay Patra model, like you put it in the document, and whoever wants to check it, like how they really started off and how they grew it to the scale that they are now. I guess you already know about it, but yeah, that's all. But if I get something else to talk about, I will pitch in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nikhil. Fantastic.
Thank you. And if I can interject, I just want to say welcome, Nikhil. Please make this your home, make this your support group. This is worldwide. And I apologize so much for missing your email. I found it here, did a search, and I see the Akshay Patra link. I'll put it in the chat. And everything you're talking about is 100% in line with what we're doing here. So you are right at home here. And I'm so blessed that you joined us. So please keep coming, and yes, make this your support group. And we're all supporting each other. And BJ, didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to give Nikhil a warm welcome and apology. And but no, take it away, BJ, please.
Oh, I was just thrilled to hear about it. I'm just really glad that that we have somebody else in the group who's on the same wavelength of providing food. So, yay.
Thank you. Same here. Find the group.
And welcome, Annie.
Here, I'll put the Google Doc back in the chat so everyone can see it. And everyone can edit it or add to it. And then I'm also going to put the Akshay Patra link that Nikhil kindly sent to us. I'll get that in there as well.
Damon, can you screen share the Google Doc real quick so Annie can see it?
Oh yeah, happy to. Here goes.
The other thing is, I don't know if Nikhil and everybody was on, but you're going to be making that stew today. And maybe there's a link you want to put in there where people can watch that. I think that's exciting.
So here's the Google Doc that we created yesterday. Annie, so you and
Yes,
everyone
I can see. I can see it. I got it's the recipe, right?
No, the recipe is down below. And
okay.
yeah, so
Let's
there's
see.
the recipe
It's the
towards
equipment.
the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also up here we've got the personal protective equipment, the table, plexiglass shield, supplies, etc., logistics, process. It's all there. And as well as some compostable bowls and compostable spoon options that we found on Amazon. And then we have the recipe down below. So yeah, feel free to dig in. And really great to have everyone here. And Nikhil, I really like your thoughts and the sentiment that this isn't just for poor people, this is for everyone. So we make it this universal public good, right? That food is just freely available to everyone, nutritious plant-based foods. And I'd love to add a little context there, but first but please take it away, Annie, if you have questions or comments, or Sarah. I'd like to expand into a little bit of a broader context, but no hurry on that. We have plenty of time since Food Healers is a 2-hour-long segment. Go ahead.
Can someone put the link for Jane Unchained? Since I'm a moderator of Jane Unchained, it won't allow me to just copy something so simple because I'm on my iPad, not my iPhone. So if somebody could just put the Jane Unchained linked in there, that way, most people on here know about Jane Unchained. So it's lunch break live today at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, and you can just share it out. And I think everybody on here has voted for Jane's show. Today's the last day to vote. Thank you, Kelly. Great. So yeah, it'll be Annie and I, and Annie, I'll be the reporter behind the camera, and I'll be showing the stew and all the stuff that Annie's doing. And then we'll be talking a little bit about Food Healers. So that's what I also wanted to kind of get from you today, is a little bit of an overview. So if you can give me kind of an elevator pitch about what to say.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, BJ. Silas, did you want to take the lead, or shall I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, and then I'll jump in after. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jamin. I'm getting. Oh, you already got the Jane Unchained. No, you want the Facebook Live, no?
All right, we'll get all the links in there. So I'll just start out with kind of the highest level, and then we can kind of zoom in from there. And Silas, just jump in anytime. Let's make it a conversation to give Sarah the kind of the elevator pitch she needs. And of course, I can send you this recording, Sarah, and to everyone. So the basic idea is, here's how I think about it. Imagine there's two trains of dominoes that you push over the first domino in each one, and the dominoes fall, right? And imagine those two trains of dominoes meet, those two rows of dominoes meet at a common starter domino that you push it over, and it starts both trains of dominoes tumbling, boom, boom, boom. One of those trains is the needs of people, humanity's needs. And the other train of dominoes is the needs of Mother Earth, Mother Nature, right? Including all the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, etc. The common denominator for both of those, meeting the needs of people and meeting the needs of the planet, is food healers, AKA we are UNO. And because as Silas has so thoroughly documented and analyzed and written about and presented about, the number one offense that humanity is committing against the planet, no matter how you slice it, is animal agriculture. And so we urgently need to transition our entire world to eating entirely plant-based, whole food, plant-based diets. And of course, there's more details beyond that in terms of no-till agriculture, permaculture, community gardens, growing the food closer to where the people are, and many, many other good things. But at the highest level, it's very simple. We need to end animal agriculture, and that means feeding everyone whole food, plant-based diets. Now, with food healers, with feeding everyone, we take the most direct approach possible. It's of course, it's all well and good to encourage people to buy plant-based, cook plant-based at home, et cetera, et cetera. But by feeding everyone, we actually address two needs simultaneously. We give everyone on Earth food security, free food, free whole food, plant-based stew. And in so doing, we inspire and delight the world to say, wow, this plant-based stew is delicious. I didn't know it could be so filling. I thought I'd maybe walk away hungry or with a protein deficiency, or whatever lies society and the meat industry and the dairy industry and the school district and their own family, whatever lies they've been passed on from generation to generation, that you need to eat your meat, boy, it'll put hair on your chest, or whatever stupid lies have been passed on, right? This addresses all that head on. Here's the food, try it. Okay, so now on the human needs side, the most basic human need is food and water, right? Followed by shelter, healthcare, community, access to nature, books, education, recreation, all these good things, but it all starts with food. So that's why I call that the human needs train of dominoes. Now, in terms of saving life on Earth, the Mother Earth train of dominoes, because they both start with the same common denominator. It's the same first domino that gets both trains going, and that's food healers, AKA we are UNO. Because with food healers, we get the world to go plant-based, which is the single biggest, most important thing for saving the planet, saving life on Earth, saving the biosphere, cooling the planet, etc. The second domino for saving life on Earth, I believe, should be cooling the planet through solar radiation management. I'm convinced we need both. That's a deeper discussion. But just like with the human needs domino, there's several things, right? There's food, there's shelter, there's healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. So we could think of it as a train of dominoes. Likewise for saving Mother Earth, saving and healing Mother Earth. But they both start with the same initial domino, which is food healers. So that's the high level. And then we can talk about why start in Los Angeles and how we want to do Los Angeles. But first, let me pass the talking feather around as to the high level strategy. So I don't talk too much. Okay, take it away, Silas, and anyone who wants to jump in.
Thank you, Jamin. That was a nice summary. I would say that, so far we have been creating civilizations that turn forests into deserts. And the intermediate step is to turn forests into grasslands to feed cows, and then the grasslands then become deserts. So now it is time for us to create a civilization that turns deserts into forests, that reverses it. And we can do that. It's not complicated. It starts with changing what we eat, making sure that everyone is healthy. Because right now it's all about sick care. It's not about health care, really. Because that's what makes money right now, because that's the game we are playing, the game of money. So food healers to me is as Jamin said, it's the first domino, making sure that healthy, immune boosting food is easily available to everybody and is delicious. And then people say, well, I want that, right? I want that to happen. And then we can start creating this. And that's what Sadhana Forest is. They're turning deserts into forests. So they're reversing what we have been doing. And they're showing that we can actually organize ourselves to do that too. And that'll reverse climate change. It'll reverse biodiversity. It'll reverse everything. So that's us saying, okay, now we are done with heating up the planet. Now we have to start cooling the planet, and and bringing the temperature back to where it was, and keeping it there. So that's our job. Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up to speed, if I may, Sailesh, on the way my ideas are evolving in the UK. Similar goal, feeding everybody unjudgmentally. And what I'd like to do is to roll out Climate Healers as a cornerstone project. The idea is that local shoppers, in combination with local independent businesses, choose a project that they want to support locally. Now, my original idea was to go into local communities, just find out what's going on and map the local projects. But what I'd like to do now is to grow it nationally and make Food Healers a cornerstone project wherever we go. And I'm starting to research. One of the reasons for that, not least of all, is because wherever I go in the UK, I've discovered through Facebook, there's passionate, committed vegan groups. So they're easy to identify people that are supportive. I was just looking at this Food for Life website. Lots of people with similar ideas. And all I can do is in my own backyard in the UK. I have to say, where I'm at now is my specific challenge is finding the right multimedia web development company to work with. I was grateful for the name you sent me. I reached out to him, but I haven't heard back. When I go to local businesses, I want to be able to offer them a web development service, whatever, which means that if I find the right company to work with, they'll basically have like a sales force in the UK. So it's not just developing my website. Like I said, to have this sales force with some sort of commission structure, which again goes to fund local projects, not least of all Food Healers. So that is definitely where I'm at the moment. If not the chap that you drew to my attention, Harshek, I think. If not him, I mean, maybe Nikhil knows somebody. I'm really committed to this idea of local production. If anything's heavy manufacturing, but services, it can be anywhere in the world. I've got no problem with working with an Asian web development company with some fantastic skills over there, or indeed anywhere. But they have to be committed to this central ethos, which is your mantra, isn't it? Receive what you need, give what you can. So that's where I'm at, and the request for help is ongoing, frankly, to connect with the right people, not least of all Hemel in the UK.
Yeah,
that's on my to-do list.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Harshek. I don't know why he hasn't responded to your email, because he was very responsive and he made the Climate Healers Academy website.
Oh,
he did that.
Oh,
yeah.
He did. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just send them. I'll try again, I guess.
Yeah, sure. I'll see if someone else I know who knows him. See if there is something personal going on or what.
It's easy to miss emails, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, that's fantastic, Simon.
Yeah, it's awesome. Are you connected with Godharmik at all? Did you connect with Hemal?
No, I haven't as yet. Kind of one step at a time, really. But that would make
Okay.
perfect sense because I plan to turn my cooperative, which is currently a workers' co-op, I want to turn it into a community benefit society, which is a particular form of UK
Mhm.
cooperative, very much focused on social need.
Okay.
And then develop the website with this cornerstone project. So some guidance, some advice from Hemel would be fantastic. I will reach out to him. But I have to say, come back to the same thing, but my Achilles heel has always been web development. I should have learned years ago from myself. I kept procrastinating, but what I've got in mind now is way beyond me, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to get sufficient, equipped and able to do my own website. And I just, and it's not me. I'm a macro sort of person. The minutiae, it just does my head in, and I end up back on Facebook checking my status.
Yeah. I found Squarespace to be a great platform. It's simple and easy to create websites and everything. It's just drag and drop.
Well, again, it's tempting for, simplicity for my benefit, but I'd really love to be working with somebody that I think I need somebody that is a kindred spirit, on the same page, wants the same thing, has all the gifts, all the talents, the skills, the training. And I can, because this is a very much a long-term relationship, because the whole idea is that Just Cooperate will diversify into a whole range of products and services. But the key is this Anna LePay quote, every time you spend money, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want. So every purchase, I want to develop a mindset that everybody thinks, okay, I need to buy whatever it is. I can go to Amazon, I can go here, I can go there. If I go to Just Cooperate, I know that I'll get whatever products I want, equal quality, maybe better, equal service, as good or better price. Will compete, but they'll always know that part of their purchase price goes to something that's important to them.
Right.
Well, I am very excited that we have England, the United States, India now collaborating with the same basic objective, which is feed everyone whole food, plant-based stew as a basic public service. Because imagine all the learnings they're going to be passing back and forth. Hey, I'm trying to find the right bowls, or that, well, here's what we're using here. Oh, wow, great. Right. This is collective intelligence in action. Let's get Canada in the house. Let's do this in Toronto, right? I mean, this is something so many of us have passion for, but it turns out there are so many moving parts that not everyone is going to be able to do everything. So we need to organize. And this is ground zero for such organization. So kudos to all of us for being here and being here consistently and zeroing in on this fundamental mission, right? What could be more important than making sure the world goes 100% plant-based, ending animal agriculture, ending the destruction of the biosphere of Mother Earth, and B, feeding everyone, making sure that every person on the planet is well nourished. What could be more important than accomplishing those two objectives? What project could possibly be more important than that? It's a friendly challenge that I just put out there on the table. I see people nodding up and down, so I see agreement. But could there be anything that's more important than this right now at this stage in human history for the planet?
Nikhil, I put another link out there on the chat called Annamrita. Annamrita is from Food for Life Global. They're one of the partners, I think, of Food for Life Global, and it's an enterprise that came out of the Hare Krishna movement. So I think the ISKCON people in Mumbai started it, and I've gone to their facilities where they cook their khichdi, and I've had their khichdi, and it's amazing. It tastes great. It's the same kind of stew. It's just a different bit of spices there, but it's the same basic model, the same template. And it's also whole food plant-based, because they realize that if they use oil, their machines get, it's harder to clean. It's all whole food plant-based.
Cool. Maybe I will also talk to them on how to go forward. Even I started by the same people that you're talking about, the Hare Krishna movement and the ISKCON people. Yeah, so I hope they will also agree. But since I have to, I'm not keeping it free, but maybe that's a separate discussion. But since I'll have to pay for the food, at least true cost, so I want to sell it cost. Also, sometimes I feel that makes people think it's not for or something like that. So, but we can align on it. I don't know if this is the right platform to align on this or not.
Yeah, their cost is like 7 rupees per serving. Amrita.
Okay.
So
that's
really
very low compared to, yeah. But a quick question, like how does Food Healers want to make it free? So you procure, I heard plan initially also long before that you want to procure vegetables which are kind of like disposed of by people or something, or farmers don't sell it or something. And so basically procurement would be free, therefore the food provided would be free, right? Or am I missing something? Because my similar project, like I think there's a lot of alignment and that's why I'm here. The reason is I cannot manage to give it for free. So the way I want to push this forward in this part, my effort is to sell it at a zero profit thing, so that I do not, where I employ or whatever it is, will get the salaries that are market prices. But yeah, making no profit out of it is itself, I think, a big step. And you providing it for free would be a huge step. So, but still, I'm just curious to know how that was happening. But yeah, from my side, it is zero profit.
The idea there was give it to people for free if they don't have money, if they cannot afford it. If they can afford it, ask them for double the cost. So then the people who can afford to pay, let's say if it's 7 rupees per serving right now for Annamrita, let's assume it's 20 rupees per serving, that's the cost. So ask people who can afford to pay 40 rupees, and those who cannot will get it for free. So that's the idea.
Yeah, cool, like a gift economy kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, so can we have a discussion on maybe sometime else, because I think it is also frustrating to some of the older team members here, since I joined just now, to talk about something. So just let me know whenever you think that it is going away from the formal discussion that you always wanted to have, so as to get the project rolling. I think that is the first important thing that we all care about. Secondly, is the model that, gift economy versus a zero profit model, which I'm interested to have. But just let me know if there's a dedicated time where I should join, because I would not personally like not to spoil a formal discussion that you want to have on an action plan to start doing stuff. So just for me not to feel personally guilty. So that's why.
No problem. Because we have had this kind of discussions, and but we would love to help you out. That's the whole idea of this Food Healers. Okay. So
then
another
maybe
model that GoDharmic has tried that works well for them is they give it away for free, and then they just say, love all, feed all, and serve all. And they put a jar, and people come and drop money in there. And apparently they're making more than their cost in the donations they're getting from people.
Okay. Can I add one thing about what I think about the model that I'm doing? Yeah. First of all, I think I see it as a meditation for a human body. Let's say when we meditate, we welcome whatever comes in, and we are okay with, like, say, whatever goes out. So we know that everything is transient. So I think a gift economy is also something like that, I guess, that you take it from people who give, but if they don't give also, it's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I was trying to draw parallel on it, and because I was trying to explain my model using it, but I think it applies equally to gift economic model. So the whole idea was that if meditation helps people liberate out of sensual things, and if an economy meditates, it would liberate its sensual things, which is money running through its various veins in the entire system. So we need businesses which meditate. It was my premise. From there, what would be the right meditation of a business would be the question. And then that leads to, I think right now, two answers. One is a gift economy model, and another, I think, is a zero profit model. And if you know, the concept of zero is very philosophically, it's a very powerful idea. Even the Indian spiritual or philosophic systems, if you see zero is just not a number. So that's why I feel when you make it zero profit, first of all, you beat the competition on price, and you can also ask people to serve for you, and you can cut down more costs, and then you go zero. And even if no one donates, you still sustain. Because I have known some projects where the government stopped funding or something happened and the project stopped just because of a lack of donations. But the power of zero is it doesn't need anyone to sustain it. But if people want to fund it, a new center also starts, which will still again be self-sustaining, and another center starts. And slowly, if you go back into the supply chain, let's say you have a kitchen, you're serving something, then maybe you take the funding, which people, and then build a supply chain, which is also zero profit. It reduces your costs further. And I feel once you go this model, there will be a time where a lot of things will become free, just a simple extension of the thing. But yeah, I am ready to share a document that I've written, and maybe we can discuss on this whenever we feel that how two different models can go parallelly, or I'm open to any discussion. But I want to also state that we are not in conflict, but just to make sure that it's all about food and trying to change the economic system, which is so based on money, which also I hear. And then, yeah, so those are my initial thoughts. Maybe I can come back with some more of organized thoughts regarding the model, if you would like a further discussion. Thank you.
Great stuff, Nikhil. First of all, everything you're saying is perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect for this meeting. This meeting is, it's not particularly formal. There's really nothing really formal about it. So please, your concerns about, oh, this is a formal meeting. No, please, let those go away. We have this meeting for 2 hours in the morning and in the evening. So 12 hours from now, we'll be having the second version of this. And I'll make sure you're on my mailing list. Just give me a thumbs up if you're already on my mailing list. And if not, I will be sure to make sure you're on the mailing list. Oh, here's my uncle joining. So I see BJ has her hand up. Oh, thank you, Nikhil. So you're already on the mailing list. Great. And when my uncle gets connected to audio, I'll say good morning. Hey, Uncle Frank, good morning. Welcome. Welcome, Uncle Frank. All right, he may be getting dialed in there. Now, a couple things I want to respond to what you said, Nikhil. First of all, in terms of sourcing the food for free, so here in the United States, I think you mentioned you lived here for a time. I think I heard you say that earlier. Give me a thumbs up if that's the case. But you may be familiar with the farmers markets that we have in cities in the United States, where the farmers come in and they set up a stand and they sell their produce. And they typically, because of the economics of it, they sell it at a very significant margin, very significant markup relative to their cost of growing the food, in terms of the marginal cost of growing it. And of course, that profit funds their whole operation, whether they're buying the land, labor, inputs, whatever. And then, of course, their own salary. But given that, what they generally do when they show up at the farmers market is they come with more food than they plan to sell, because the last thing they want to do is stock out, sell everything, and then they're not able to meet the demand. So they generally come, they err on the side of bringing too much food rather than too little food. Now, their whole model is fresh produce, right? So at the end of the farmer's market, they're left with a surplus. And by definition, that surplus is not going to be fresh the next day or 2 days later. So they're actually very happy to donate it to an operation like ours, which is not profit-based. So we're not competing in any way. We turn it into a stew rather than try to, sell it at a lower price someplace else and compete with them. So there's no competition, no conflict. They donate it to us and we put it into the plant-based stew. So that brings our cost way, 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 way down. So the idea is not that we operate at zero cost, because we still have the cost of fuel, vehicles. If we're serving the stew in bowls and with bowls and spoons, that's a cost. Ideally, we would get all that donated, but we don't yet live in an ideal world, not yet, but we're getting there. And I believe that through these incremental steps, we can actually get there. The second thing I wanted to comment on is regarding free versus low price and selling. And I believe the difference is crucial. And I believe that free is the way to go. And then, of course, just let people donate if they want to, but that's totally optional. We don't say, hey, pay if you can, don't pay if you can't, because even if we did that, we essentially separate people with money from people without money. And we don't want to separate anyone. We just want to say, hey, come, and the food is free, right? Oh, you want to donate? Oh, yeah, there's a donation jar over there. Thank you very much. But we separate that from the provisioning of the food. I think that's absolutely crucial. And I think that by giving away the food for free, making it a basic human right, we will inspire many, many, many people to donate. Rich people, poor people, middle-class people, any kind of people will be inspired to donate. Oh my goodness, you're feeding the world for free? Here, let me help. Let me help with money, donations. If I'm a farmer, I'm happy to donate my food, right? And if I'm a volunteer, I'm happy to donate my time. And I believe that through this mechanism, we can actually begin a money-free economy, a gift economy, an economy where the basis of the economy is making sure that all people have their needs met in a way that's not hurting animals and not hurting the environment. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Nikhil, I just want to reemphasize, I am so happy you are here, and please keep sharing on anything you want to share. All very, very, very welcome. And I want to welcome my Uncle Frank again. Hey, Uncle Frank, hope you can hear me okay. Great to see you. All right. And BJ had her hand up, followed by Sarah. Take it away.
Thank you. as most of you know, I started a group called Immune Boosters here in Central Texas, mostly in little town Lockhart and San Marcos. And we provided immune boosting foods, but not cooked foods, just the produce and some staples. We would buy rice and beans. And we had a farmer who would donate. But the other farmers markets, and this one too now, what they do is they go one day and then the next day they're going to some other places. So we haven't figured out the logistics of how to get the food when they're through, because we don't know what town they're going to be. They don't just know where they're going next. You know, they're going from corner to corner trying to sell everything they can before they donate. So we've also just bought things from grocery stores. That's just one of the things we're doing. We're trying to educate about immune boosting foods also. What's interesting is I've decided, instead of having it a nonprofit, I decided to see if our church, the Unitarian Church, would let us be under them as an umbrella group. And so this Sunday, I get to tell a little bit about our group, and once a month they make donations to organizations that are helping in the community. So I get to say a few things, but so I'm thrilled about that. But right now, during the pandemic, there were so many people who stepped up with food banks and those kinds of things that we didn't really get to provide that much. We would ask and they'd say, oh no, we've already got food from food banks. Oh no, somebody already donated a bunch of turkeys, or something like that. So right now I'm still trying to figure out where is the niche, and I'm looking for a kitchen. Our church doesn't have one, to do the stew and go with the free stew. And I don't know yet. I'm still pondering and loving what y'all are saying, whether I even should mention it yet or just wait, just say this is what we do in general and we've got lots of opportunities. I'm not sure I really want to say anything about the stew until it's ready. We've got a kitchen and we're ready to go. So I'm interested in feedback on that and just wanted to give you an update. Thanks.
All right, well, I have some thoughts, but first Sarah has her hand up, and welcome my darling Melissa, welcome Susan, welcome everyone. Great to see everyone here. Go for it, Sarah.
Hey, I'm going to attempt to paste this photo of the lunch break live thing. I'm not sure if it'll go in or not, but if it's on the Instagram page, wanted to know if Dr. Ralph posted in his Instagram stories today. And she sent them, and I sent it to Annie, and she's going to send it to Annie also. But I copied the thing for today, the show picture. But I guess it's not going in the chat. I'm not sure how to do that from my notes. Maybe somebody can help me get the technical part of that done. I saved the image. Let me see. Oh, good. Sister Ivy's in the waiting room. Just had a really quick idea. There's a coffee shop that opened up in Colorado, and it was featured on the national news, some story. Yeah, and they only hired special needs. And I thought that this would be great if we had any special needs persons that wanted to volunteer and help with food healers. And I actually have experience with anybody that has anything like that, because I was a Make-A-Wish volunteer. I still am, for over 15, 16 years. So I can work with nonverbal and any type of persons that need to have special needs. So I just think we should include that in our volunteer. And because remember, we're going to be doing serving to starting with after school programs, these two, serving food to participants and the staff. So I just think it's great. And also wanted to mention that Kamaya, tell them about Kamaya. Oh, well, actually a kid came up with this recipe. I think that's very relatable, and even show a picture of Kamaya or give some information down the road. The other thing, that's what I just wanted to say about that, just about including everybody because it's love all, feed all, but in also with the volunteering and stuff, we could have some special needs persons on our volunteer team, because I want to be inclusive to everybody. And I know it's like during the pandemic, everybody's been locked up, and I just want to include everybody to make them feel like they're part of the community, because they are. So I just wanted to say that.
Beautiful, Sarah. Love it. Love it. All right. And welcome, Sister Ivy, AKA Ingrid. We've been talking about recapping our good meeting from yesterday. And BJ just asked about, starting this up in your local community. They're in Texas. Here's just one thought for you, BJ, is what if you focused first on bringing together different people who are interested in volunteering in one way or another from your community, church or otherwise, neighbors, family, etc., and said, hey, join us here on Food Healers, learn about this community that's building to make this happen, because it all starts with a conversation and with planning, right? And bringing our collective intelligence together and coming up with all the answers and all the details together, because I'm constantly surprised by what I learn when we all come together. So anyway, that's just one thought, is start with the conversation and building the community here where it's easy. You can just say, hey, just come and join us and find out about it, right? Make it easy for people to dip their toe in the water. No commitment. Hey, we're not asking you to sign up for anything. Just come and hang with us and learn about it. All right. Anyway, so that's one that I have. All right. And Melissa has a suggestion, which I'll just go ahead and read. And Sister Ivy, go ahead. Go ahead. Looks like you're waiting to talk.
Good morning, everyone. I was in a meeting and so couldn't come earlier. So I'm so glad to join now. And but I was also very glad to have been here and heard the last piece that dear Sarah was sharing. Thank you so much. Look at all the blessings that came, and thank you for doing all that good work. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And you got this beautiful love to include all, and I love what you brought to include, just everyone. And I know that group that you were talking about, whatever it is called, whatever they were called, is just as wonderful as the houseless group that people think so badly about it or completely ignore. I feel the same way with the others. I constantly pray about what we call handicap, what we call retarded or mental, whatever all these labels that mainly psychology brought, which don't bless anybody, is already just, we know, labeling and you're stuck there, basically. So I love that you are bringing all this up. Thank you so much. And I'm just so glad for all the blessings that have developed and for this great work that you started, and what a blessing for everyone. And of course, I know for you. And so glad to have met you all and have had the opportunity to meet Sarah and hopefully many others in person. Just we are so blessed, and that's what we have to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sister Ivy. Beautiful. And one of the things I love about how you often like to start our meetings or our calls is with an inspirational quote. And along those lines, Melissa, my queen Melissa, has written in the chat. Melissa, sweetheart, did you want to share that yourself? And Sarah, I see you need to take a break for 15 minutes. No problem. We'll be here. Melissa, did you want to share that, or did you want me to read that? Up to you. And you're on mute, sweetheart. You're muted.
Hello. Sorry, start again. Retake. Yeah, I was just thinking about, feeding our bodies, feeding our souls, that feeding everyone is also part of a spiritual transformation on the planet, where we start to look at food not just as a product, but also something that's alive and that has spirit, and that is more than just feeding our bodies. And so one of the things I was thinking about is how First Nations people celebrate and show their appreciation of all of life, whether it's water, soil, plants, etc. And I was thinking that we could incorporate something like that in the parks, where we celebrate and appreciate the food that we eat. And also, well, I'll read this, what I wrote, so I don't have to try and quote, make it up again. But healing Earth is not all work. It also means participating in the circle of life. Celebrations being a time for honoring and appreciating someone or something. Plant celebrations honor plants and express their usefulness as food that sustains life, their power as medicines that heal, and their peaceful presence. And that's really important as well, because I noticed yesterday I was repotting plants that I dug out of my mother's garden and brought to Whidbey Island. So my 91-year-old mother moved in with Jamin and myself. And my mother's very soulful and really loves gardens. And we brought the plants over. And just by planting, replanting those beings, sorry, it's going to make me cry, because we've so hurt this earth, excuse me. They brought so much soul with them, and we've forgotten this. Okay. So that appreciating these beings, really brings us to a deeper connection. Appreciating soil as the root of all plant life and therefore all animal life on Earth. We can celebrate plants for their aesthetic enrichment of our lives, their beauty, variety, color, scent, etc. And I was thinking it would be really fun to introduce games, music, even dance and art as part of this celebration and as a way of giving thanks. That brings another aspect to feeding people and feeds our souls. And then there's this beautiful quote by Charles Knight, who's from the Ute tribe, and he said, "Everyone has a song. God gave each one of us a song, and our song tells us who we are." Thank you.
That's a beautiful quote. Thank you so much. Beautiful quote. And I love the idea that you said about music and dance and everything. That's one of the things that I have missed so much in this time after the virus thing, because somehow the musicians and the dancing, have been really hidden, even though I have been in a good amount of them in Venice Beach, which almost have never stopped doing that. They had the drum circle anyway, all the time. So it's a blessing, but thank you. That sounds absolutely wonderful. And if you can maybe send that quote in the chat, I would love to have it. That last quote that you just said is beautiful. We all have been given a song by that divine, wise mind that knows what we need. That's so beautiful. Thank you. And thank you, Brother Jamin, for bringing up the quotes. Yes, I will be glad to share some. This is more like an affirmation that has been always a blessing. It says, there is no creation, power, presence, attraction, reality, or anything besides God good. Very powerful. There's nothing beside good, because there's nothing besides God. This is something that has blessed me so much, and I just share the blessings. That's also another quote that is also good affirmation. It's very good for the work, for supporting the work and the strength for the work. It says there cannot be any lack of ability or anything when we realize that God as divine mind is directing us, that there is only one mind that governs the universe, and that we are the children of that listening mind, and we are obedient to that wise mind. And this is also a very beautiful confirmation, I would say, of a love that is ever present. Divine love, God is ever present as this, it says, and doing this for us. Divine love is, divine love does. God, divine love loves, divine love cares. God, divine love helps. God, divine love governs. God, divine love completes. Divine love creates. And this one is very important because even more after the digital explosion, I would say, which I absolutely use and love, there's a very aggressive thing that we are all creators. And I hope I don't offend anybody. Please do not take offense. There's one creator and we can never take that place of the creator. But it emanates all the ideas for us to do whatever that creator wants. But we have turned it into, I created this software, I created this computer, I created this. I'm just sharing the thought that we can never and must never and should never take the place of the creator, the only one that can create all this amazing universe. Just sharing that, no offense to anyone. Divine love solves, divine love diffuses, divine love supports us in every good work. Divine love designates, God leads. Divine love, God enlightens. Divine love appoints. It appoints everyone to do the good work, just like dear Sarah is doing this great work now. So grateful. Divine mind plans perfectly. Divine mind executes. Divine mind designs. It is that divine wise mind that designs, and we listen to that and put it down as that design. This is just a wonderful affirmation that gives God as divine mind, love, spirit, whatever we perceive it, its place, so that we can never play God and never take its place. And there's a lot more in there, but I'm just sharing that. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sister Ivy. And thank you, Melissa. You know, this I feel like what the two of you have brought in the last few minutes is something that I think has been missing from our meetings and our efforts generally, which is the taking time for prayer and spirit and song and the divine. You know, I'm an engineer. I come from a family of engineers and scientists, and so I was kind of brought up very logical, rational, and so I really appreciate both of you bringing these other aspects of life. And in fact, I would love if we were to start our meetings with some music and a prayer and some quotes, and really help us to really get connected to source, because that's really what this is all about. And co-creating that more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, to paraphrase Charles Eisenstein. That's what we're doing here with food healers, with We Are Una. We're creating a more beautiful world, a more peaceful, loving, compassionate world, with love and compassion for all the animals, like BJ's cat there in the background, and Sarah's beagle, and Simon's frog, and Melissa's salmon. Passing the talking feather.
I just want to say beautiful. Thank you so much. I feel so grateful that you recognize this and that you have this thought, because it's a blessing for the whole group and for the whole world. Thank you so much. You're such a blessing. And I will really try to be here earlier at the beginning and I will be glad to share so many blessings of quotes that have blessed me through the decades. And also, since you mentioned music, I have some amazing, beautiful songs, so inspirational, very short, that I will be glad to play since I came up, and it's okay, just, very few, maybe 1-2 minute song, that focuses very good. So I will bring one if it's okay next time.
Yeah, I would love that. And you could play it at the beginning, and then we could read, some inspirational quotes, and then just have some sharing from the heart of what we're present to, why we're here. I think that can be really, really grounding and uplifting and inspiring.
Absolutely, I'll be glad to. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sister Ivy. And Melissa, my queen, got your hand up. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jamin. Thank you, Sister EB. Those were beautiful quotes. And I was also thinking, we didn't just come here to slog. That's a British word. That means to work, right, Ray? Slog. We also came here to enjoy this creation. And I'm just thinking of Sister Wendy Beckett. I don't know if any of you remember her. She talked about art, and she said that every act of creation that's uplifting is a prayer. And I think we got away from that as well. And so what we're talking about here really brings us back into that spirit, which I really love. So there's that, we don't need to crawl, as one poet said, crawl across the ground with our knees bleeding. We need to appreciate and enjoy this one precious life that we were given. So what are we going to do with our life? And I also, one of the other things I thought could be really fun, I know it's a little off tangent away from planning, feeding meetings, but I also think I'm teaching art to refugee kids right now, and we're doing a lot using repurposed materials. And there's some absolutely uplifting, inspiring videos. They're very short, and I'd be happy to share them at a time that's appropriate. One is a Scottish artist who takes found objects or things that are cast off, and he creates stop motion picture animations that are incredible. And the other is a group of children in Paraguay, and their village is on a landfill, garbage dump. They're very poor, and they've created an orchestra of instruments out of the garbage that they found on that landfill. And that's also very uplifting and inspiring. So if you guys would like me to share any of that at some point, let me know.
Yeah, I think probably at the beginning of the meetings would be a really great time to share those things. The music, art, videos, inspirational quotes, and then followed by, like, to really open up our hearts, and then sharing from the heart in terms of our intention, etc. Because I really think that's our foundation. here, and then we can get to, you know, logistics and details and things like that, you know. Anyway, passing the talking feather. Feel free to just jump in. There's nobody in the queue. Feel free to raise your hand if you'd like, or just jump in when no one's talking.
I'll take that as an invitation. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning. Is that Alchemy?
Yeah, that's he. Tis he. I'm
Welcome,
at least one or
Alchemy.
two other people in the room, but I'm good to see everybody. I've been here listening. This isn't directly about food healing, well, like in like the vegan sense, but there is like an option for people, and you know, this is told me. I said, let me start over. Susan's going to get buried in an urn, like with a tree growing out of it, and she asked me for a cherry tree because of how, you know, the fruit like feeds the animals and then, you know, returns to nature. And you know, I think it's like I'm sorry to jump in awkward. Like, I think it's a fitting memorial, and like just kind of a reminder to people how, you know, the earth does provide, you know, things for us, like, but healing most of all. And I mean, and Rahab for the food healers, I'm going to pass the baton because it's not really on format. I don't care particularly. Thank you for that time.
No, you're fine, Alchemy, and that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Don't hesitate to jump in. We're just sharing here. Thank you.
Yeah, I loved hearing that about the cherry tree, and there is enough for all. We can all thrive here.
Totally. Yes, I would really love to plant a Prunus serotina, which is the wild black cherry, because, well, I know that still be around when I'm gone. Just even optimistically speaking.
Beautiful, beautiful, and welcome, Claire. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm outside leaning against my special tree, and I just wanted to say that the Colombian indigenous people I'm in touch with are on the land that our group paid for, which is 197,684 acres, and then they're in the process of planting 1,000 trees. I think they told me they've already planted 700, and people are sending in $25 at a time to plant 6 trees, and they can give the names of people they want to be put on the trees. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can, just fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Something else came on my screen,
Oh,
so I wasn't sure.
Annie is sharing, or Sarah is sharing about the lunch break live program she's doing today. But please carry on, Claire.
Oh,
We can
I
hear
see.
you.
So anyway, I have a lot of friends that they're sending healing to, and one in particular who has pancreatic cancer. When I told her about the tree project, and she had a big tragedy in her life, she lost her 2 adult children in a terrible freak accident I won't go into, but then a year and a half or 2 later, the parents adopted 2 children who are now in their 20s. So she told me, when she sent me $25, to put their names on the trees. And the man that I'm in touch with by WhatsApp in Spanish sent me videos of 2 videos, one of little girls and other women, indigenous women, with one of the names hanging on a tree, that they were hanging on a tree of one of her children, and the other one. And my friend told me how, seeing those videos and the names of her, you know, her adopted children, she began to cry and felt so happy. So just little things like that, can make a difference. And planting trees is what we need to do all over the world, I guess. And so if anyone wants to know more, I can tell you how to, mail a check to Global Healing Foundation, and it will be put toward that purpose. And they're doing healings for people, and all I do is just collect the names and what's going on, what's the problem, and I tell them exactly what they need to meditate on, and then they do, and it's been helpful for many, many people. And besides, Jamin, I was hoping that I would hear something more about solar radiation management, or in terms of getting in touch with so many wonderful nonprofits, the Rainforest Alliance, the Environmental Defense Fund, the Sierra Club. There's so many, National Resources Defense Council. And I'm sure that they're not writing about it because they don't know enough about it. You've got to either send me a big write-up of it or send in to them so that they can start publicizing that particular solution to the warming of the planet. So, yeah. And of course, I have written a lot about the Earth in my book, Roll On Great Earth, and Tall Grasses of Woods Hole, and all kinds of poetry. And so I'm a little bit crazed about saving Mother Earth, just like those indigenous people in Colombia.
Can
And
you put all your info in the chat so we can look that up?
I guess I'll have to walk home in order to do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But actually, Jamin has it. If you want to just put my email address in the chat, that would help.
Oh yeah, I'll be happy to. I'll be happy
Thank
to,
you.
Claire.
That would be great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be talking about solar radiation management a little later. Right now we're at the tail end of the food healers segment. We do food healers
I
from
see.
7 to 9.
Yeah.
7 to 9 a.m. and 7 to 9 p.m.
Claire?
No, but
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this. I am very, very interested in this. I was really right away thinking, how am I going to get involved in this? But even just sending a donation, and also I want to share with you, I was raised in Colombia, and I'm so honored and glad to speak Spanish, to know the people in Colombia. That was a big blessing. I just can never be grateful to have had that experience. And I would love to talk with you and see maybe I can get involved a little if there's any need of help for Spanish or whatever. I would love to help. I can't commit to a lot because I'm really hands full, but I would love to get involved. So I was thinking maybe if Jamie can include that information in the email or something.
You can also include my phone number too, Jamin, if you have it.
Okay, where are you, Claire?
I'm in Hartsdale, New York, north of New York City. Where are you?
I'm in West Los Angeles. I was born in New York, so.
Oh, okay.
yeah, and live there. So, wonderful. Thank you so much.
There's another thing I really need to just say, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but in the last number of months, there have been quite a lot of protests in Colombia because the present president has ignored a declaration made in 2018 by the previous president that the indigenous lands are sacred and need to be protected. And the way he's ignoring it is by listening to multinationals who want to buy it and make hotels and all kinds of coal companies, all kinds of stuff they want to do. And over 1 million acres are eyed by these people, over 1 million acres. So there've been protests, and I don't know how, it's going to turn out, but it's really, really dire, because their land, I don't know, that's going to displace indigenous people. It's undeveloped, and we don't want it to be developed. We need as much undeveloped earth as possible. So just to know about that, and if anyone has, access to the UN and various places. I have one friend who has access, but we'll see what happens.
Thank
Just
you so much.
keep it in your prayers.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Claire. I'm a member of our Unitarians United Nation office. I'm working on a speech now. I just gave one last week and I'm working on another one to help share the word message. And one of the things is part of my speech is showing that half the earth, almost half the earth, 43% of ice-free land is used for grazeland. And that land has been cleared or in fires, and there are trees on, there could have been trees on it, there can still be trees on it that pull down those greenhouse gases. Instead, they're chopped down or burned, and all those fumes, not just fumes, but greenhouse gases are not only killing livestock and wildlife, vertebrates, but they're also taking the land from the indigenous people. And right now, ice-free land, there's only 9% of the land that is forest land. And that's a lot of indigenous people that are living in those lands, and we're using those lands to create more animal products to eat. And if we can free up that 43%, we can actually pull down enough carbon to cool the earth. And so I'm trying to spread the message that way, that we can do this as individuals and as groups together, supporting each other, grassroots groups of pulling down that carbon by not consuming animals. People don't know that, but that's part of what I was going to say. And the trees are so significant, but I really liked what Salish Rao said earlier today, is that we've changed forest land into desert land. Now it's time to take our desert land and move it back into forest land. But we can immediately stop the killing of these forests. I mean, as soon as they lose their contracts for all the animal products, that's going to cut down immediately, you know, the burning. So that's what I'm working on. And at every monthly meeting at the UN office that I go to, I bring up something about it. And then I just heard this week from Silvana Andrade, I'm not sure how to say her last name. Some of you know her, but they're in dire straits right now. She's in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and they are arresting people who are speaking out publicly against the government. So they not only have the crises of COVID and fires and so many things. So you're right. We're in a crisis, but that's also part of my speech. We're in a crisis, but it's also a time to make great changes that can bring about the thriving world that we want. So it's good to hear from you, and thank you for letting me share some of what.
Thank you. I would love to have your contact also.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe
Thank you.
Jamin can send it to me after I go home.
Yeah,
I'm just outdoors leaning against my tree that I connect with and talk to all the time.
Oh, I love that.
Such a beautiful day here.
Yeah.
Thank you for your sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both for your sharing. So important. Thank you. And thank you for your time for that. Bless you. Bless you.
I thank you, Claire. That's I really am looking forward to reading your books and finding out more about what you're doing to spread that word. I'm working a lot with children and work through an arts education program and a lot of refugee kids. We focus a lot on trees. One woman I wanted to mention, if you don't know her already, she's Irish birth, but she lives in Canada, and her name is Diana Beersford Kroger. She has a beautiful film on Netflix, I believe it is, or Amazon. It's called The Wisdom of Trees. And she writes a lot about trees. Her books are incredible. One is called The Sweetness of a Simple Life. And she's focusing a lot on the boreal forests, which are a ring of forests at the top of the world, which are endangered. And apparently if we lose those, that's it. So we're focusing a lot on the rainforest. That's important, but we also need to know about the boreal forests. And her book on that is called Arboretum Borealis. I just thought I'll put that in the chat as well, so everyone can look her up if you're interested.
I also have a children's book called The Little Girl Who Wanted to Be a Tree, and another book called Sunchild. Little girl who wanted everyone to be sunny and happy. The Little Girl Who Wanted to Be a Tree isn't printed yet, but I could send it to you.
I would love that. Yes, please. I'll put my address in the chat. Thank you. I'd love to share
Okay.
that with the kids. That'd be lovely.
Yeah.
There.
And the Sunchild book, and also a book called 7 Meditations for Children, is on Amazon in an Audible form. So I read it out loud, and I think it's still there.
I'll look into that. Thank you so much.
Claire, what is your last name so we could look up you?
Rosenfield. My email is crosenfield9@gmail.com. So my first name is Claire, and Rosenfield
that
is
in
my
the
last
chat.
name.
Oh,
Okay.
I see.
It's all in the chat.
Oh, I see it. Thank you.
Email,
Good.
phone number, full name. It's all there.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And Sister Ivy, the answer to your question is yes. Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm so grateful for the information you two ladies just brought. It's very important. We know it and I have heard it, but you really like brought it right up to my face. And I would like to share with anyone, for any one of you that would like. I do this prayer, is called 111 prayer, and it's at 1:11 p.m. every single day. I do it, and it's a prayer for the world, prayer for the earth. It is, of course, meant to be a very healing time, and I would like to invite anyone and everyone that would like to join. Is simply on just the phone, but we could have it on a chat or whatever. I'm fine. But I would like to invite that. I'm going to make it today absolutely and specifically about the things that you two ladies share, and it's going to be all based on God's government. We need to affirm and know that no matter what all these things seem so terrible and all that, we need to even more know that the government is of God good, and that good has to prevail. And sometimes with so many bad quote things happening and all the talk and everything, it seems that that's what prevails. And so my aim is always to affirm and give the place in our love that good God has to prevail, and that spirit of goodness is so powerful that it can prevail. So I'm just sharing, this is the basis of that healing prayer, and we can somehow maybe get the information out or whatever, but anyone that would like to is welcome. It's just some prayer readings to bring that up and make sure we ground it on God good. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Ivy. And you know what? The founder of the Global Healing Foundation is an alchemist and in touch with guides from beyond. And he said the number 111 was a very special sacred number. So I was amazed when you said you're doing it at that time, 111.
Thank you. I've been doing this for 18 years.
Oh my goodness, that's
with,
amazing.
Yes, with whoever wants to join, just comes and listen to the prayers. It's not about discussion. It's not about anything. It's just a reading prayer for whoever would like to join and listen. And I will share the 111. Yes, it's absolutely precious to me. It's something that we at UNO have had for since the beginning, and it's meant only one creator, one creation, one individual, all and only good. So that's a prayer that we at UNO have sent all the time, the 111, at all times and at any times. Actually, the official name is We Are UNO 111, because that prayer is one of the main things of We Are UNO, to be sent out for humanity, for all beings, for the earth, for all creation. One creation, one creator, one individual, all and only good. It's all based on the book of the Bible, Genesis 1, that says, all that was created, what God saw that it was good. That's what it's based on. And just sharing. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love seeing the artist at work. I just think it's so creative. I just love seeing your background. And there you are. What are you putting on there?
Yeah, I'm about to be in a show with 3 other women. It's on environmental justice. This installation is about saving the Chinook salmon and the orca whales.
Yeah.
This is one of my salmon. They're really big. They're made of fabric of all found objects, cane and wax. I'm putting the scales on the fish right now.
Wow.
And I'm using a bolt of fabric that was donated to me. It's just this gauze.
Oh.
And so I'm putting them on with wax right now, because I don't want to use anything that will hurt the environment. It's not beeswax, mind you. It's another kind of wax.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm going to install it in about 10 days. So the eyes are made out of upcycled plastic bits and pieces.
Fantastic.
Thanks, BJ.
Well, this has been wonderful. I'm going to take off. It's been lovely to see you all. And I'll see you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Same.
Bye-bye.
Great to see you, BJ. Thanks so much for being here.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Now too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Love you. Love you.
All right. Well, we are 2 hours in to the block party, and I would like to focus next on something specific, which is a write-up for Sarah for the Food Healers program today. For the Jane Unchained program, where she's going to mention Food Healers, We Are UNO, and so anyway, would anyone be game? Bless you, Kelly. Would anyone be game to work with me on that? Writing up that kind of just a short summary. Oh, Ray got volunteered by his better half, Kelly. All right, volunteer accepted. All right, and Ray, I see what you're writing in the chat about SRM. We'll definitely get to that, and maybe in a little bit. Why don't we maybe do the writing first? Would people be game? And I can stop recording for this portion just so that we can kind of flow freely. And well, I'll pause recording for now anyway, unless anyone has anything else to add to the recording. Yes, Melissa, go ahead.
And later. Great seeing all of you. Lots of love.
Love you, darling. See you soon. Thanks for being here.
Any 3-digit number can commonly be like presumed to be an angel contact of some sort. At least that's how I take it. You can stop recording now if you like.
Okay, pausing recording. Pause